Good afternoon, members. We are back. We're on the bottom portion of page 7. Bottom of page 7. We're on page 7 out of 21 pages. Okay, Councilmember Dos Santos Tam.
Chair, I move that Committee Report 20 be adopted and Bill 1 pass second reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Dos Santos Tam for the explanation.
Bill 1 relates to reporting requirements.
Thank you very much. Mr. Clerk, are there any registered or unregistered in-person testifiers?
Mr. Chair, there are none.
Are there any registered or unregistered remote testifiers?
There are none of those as well. Thanks.
Thank you very much, members. We're in discussion. Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 20 has been adopted and Bill 1 has passed second reading. Turning to the top of page 8, from the Committee on Executive Matters and Legal Affairs, Councilmember Dos Santos Tam.
Chair, I move that Committee Report 18 be adopted and Bill 25 of 2021 CD2 as amended pass third reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Dos Santos Tam for the explanation.
This relates to an anti-bias and inclusion policy.
Thank you very much. Mr. Clerk, are there any registered or unregistered in-person speakers today?
Mr. Chair, there are none.
Thank you. Are there any registered or unregistered remote speakers today?
Mr. Chair, yes, we have 2 persons, I believe, signed up for remote testimony.
Okay, please proceed.
Good afternoon. This is Denise Sukayama. I'm the city's Equal Opportunity Administrator. Here to confirm that the Department of Human Resources supports Bill 25 with the CD2, and we are anxiously awaiting the opportunity and looking forward to implementing the bill.
Terrific. Thank you so much. Members, any questions for Ms. Sukiyama? Seeing none, thank you. Next, I believe, is Michael Golohue, Jr.
Good afternoon, council members. Michael Golohue Jr., Chair of the Stonewall Caucus of the Democratic Party of Hawaii. We stand in strong support of this bill, and we urge you all to vote yes and move it forward. Mahalo.
Thank you so much. Members, any questions for the testifier? Seeing none, are there any unregistered remote testifiers, Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you very much. Members who are in discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam?
Aye.
Councilmember Kia Aina?
Aye.
Councilmember Okimoto?
Aye.
Councilmember Say? Aye. Councilmember Talba?
Aye.
Councilmember Tupola?
Aye.
Councilmember Wire?
Aye.
Chair Waters?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 9 ayes.
Thank you. CR 18 has been adopted and Bill 25 from 2021 CD2 has passed third reading. From the Committee on Planning and the Economy, Councilmember Kia Aina.
I move that Committee Report 32 be adopted and Bill 41, 2022, CD2, as amended, pass third reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Kia Aina for the explanation.
This bill relates to shoreline setbacks.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, I note that Chip Fletcher was in person to testify. Oh, what? Hold on. Mr. Fletcher, are you here by any chance? Maybe outside? No. Are there any registered in-person testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none registered.
Okay, I note that Mr. Monaku is in person and would like to testify. Aloha, welcome, and please proceed.
James K. Monaco, senior concerned parent, grandparent, great-grandparent. You know, Mr. Chair, I'm concerned about the shoreline. Does this have to do with the shoreline, Esther? Does this have to do with this bill?
Bill, Chair? So
Councilmember
Bill
Kia.
41 deals with shoreline setbacks, and Bill 42 deals with special management areas.
Okay, because, you know, I'm concerned about the shoreline. As you know, this bill came up before the previous council, and the problem was that if we allowed them the shoreline setback, it'll infringe on the public's right-of-way. So I'm just wondering if this will infringe on our private right-of-way. Because we go along the shoreline, we use the shoreline to access the beaches. We use the shoreline to pick limo, crab, and all of that. So I'm just worried that if it'll infringe on that. Because if it does, then I'm deeply concerned. If it doesn't, then I hope it. I just hope it doesn't. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Clerk, any other in-person registered or unregistered testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Are there any registered or unregistered remote speakers?
Mr. Chair, none are logged on.
Thank you so much. Members, I do want to point out that we do have folks from DPP present if you have any questions. We're in discussion. Councilmember Tupola.
For DPP? Aloha. Thank you, Director, for being here. Just two quick questions. I am grateful for the CD2 and some of the amendments that our constituents needed, especially those along the shoreline. My quick question in regards to some of the questions in testimony was whether or not this would increase any workload for DPP.
And yes, I think we understood that it would, based on the state law. Actually, I'm thinking of, Chapter 41, when Act 16 was passed, that we would be subject to more permits coming through.
Is that something that you need more bandwidth for, more staff positions? What is your thought on how you would incorporate that into what you guys are already doing at DPP?
Yes, it is. So we have incorporated it into new positions and budgeting for a separate, like sea level rise, branch within our department.
How many positions are you guys going to be asking for, just so we can make sure that we're aware of this?
Sure. I think right now we're asking for 3 positions, around 3 to 4 positions. And that would also cover some flood policy issues as well.
And my last question was in regards to whether or not you feel like there's been adequate community outreach. Some people had asked to hold the bill. There are a few of my constituents that have a permit in the pipeline that are in this area, so they just had some questions. Will you be continuing to do outreach, or how will you handle that, especially for those who are actually right in that spot waiting for the permit to do their work?
Mm-hmm. So I think we can provide more public outreach, more informational briefings to people who are affected. And we're always open for if people want to email, call. We have planners of the day that are able to answer any questions.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe just like a one-pager if we can work with whoever designs for the city. Because I think the provisions in CD2 may resolve some of the concerns, but I don't know if that was broad spread, that people understood that there would be a process whereby they could dispute, they could ask, and that they could still do the renovations they needed within the buildable area.
Sure, yeah, I think that's a good idea. And then our website too, we can post a lot of information where people can access and see what the latest is for shoreline issues.
Okay. Did you want to add anything?
Oh, we have some commercials that are coming up that also better explains all the shoreline requirements.
Okay, perfect. We'll get that information from you so we can give it to those on the shoreline that are in our district. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any further discussion? Councilmember Kiaino. Oh, let's go with Councilmember Tolba, then Councilmember Kiaino.
Thank you, Chair, and congratulations.
Thank you, Councilman.
I have a constituent who has an approved SMA permit, but due to budgetary reasons, hasn't been able to begin construction improvement. So if he is unable to begin building his project by 2024, will he be eligible for an extension, or what options would someone in this type of situation would need or have?
Good afternoon, Chair, and Vice Chair, and members. So the question about an SMA permit, there are 2 types of SMA permits. There's the major and there are the minor. The major permits that are approved by resolution regularly have a 2-year deadline for getting a development permit to show that whatever is approved is at least being acted on. It shows good faith on the part of the applicant that they're not going to hold on to that for 10 years and then proceed. Those conditions always include a provision that allows the department to extend that deadline for 1 year. And then it also says that that applicant can come to the council for further extension. They usually have to have some reason. It isn't always the case that it's 2 years. Sometimes we're recommending something like 4 years if there's a lot of complication. For the SMA minor permits that a lot of the smaller dwellings, or I shouldn't say smaller, I should say less expensive dwellings are obtaining, there usually isn't that deadline. But if there was, again, they would have the opportunity to ask the department for an extension.
Awesome. Are you getting a lot of those?
SMA minor
yes.
permits or requests for extensions?
Yeah, a minor permit. And,
We are getting a lot of SMA minor permits. Since Act 16 went into law in September 2020, we have had about an 85% increase in the number of permits that we've received. That is split among major and minor permits, but yes, we've received a lot of permit applications.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Kia-Aina.
Thank you. Mahalo for everyone's patience as we provided more time to understand the impacts of Bill 41 and Bill 42. I also wanted to mahalo the Department of Permitting and Planning, the Office of Climate Change, Sustainability and Resiliency, the Hawaii Coastal Zone Management Program, the University of Hawaii School of Ocean and Earth Science, and stakeholders for the mana'o that they provided in both bills. It was important to me that we work with all stakeholders as well as the city administration to provide amendments that would mitigate impacts that these important policies will have on shoreline ohana, including those with multi-generational ties to these places. As you all know, Bill 41 would update the city shoreline setback laws by incorporating amendments made by Act 16 to the state coastal zone management law and implementing a new erosion rate-based shoreline setback formula. We have already seen significant impacts of coastal erosion, shoreline hardening, and sea level rise to our public beaches and existing properties and structures. And these policies are necessary to mitigate further losses in public health and safety. In an attempt to balance impacts of these important policies on the community, the Planning and Economy Committee passed a CD2, which addresses community concerns by most notably allowing requests to be made to amend a lot's annual erosion hazard rate by parcel. Second, requiring updates to the annual erosion rate to be done by passage of administration rules. Third, updating provisions that provide more certainty so that landowners can continue to build a dwelling on their property with a 1,500 square foot footprint or a 3,000 square footprint for your 2-story units. Fourth, allowing for more repairs for non-conforming structures. Fifth, pushing back the effective date to July 1st, 2024 to provide more adequate notice to property owners currently in planning processes to develop on their lots. And sixth, clarifying that traditional Hawaiian fish pond systems may be restored or expanded as allowed under state law. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members, any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam?
Aye.
Councilmember Kia-Aina?
Aye.
Councilmember Okimoto?
Aye.
Councilmember Say? Councilmember Talba?
Reservations?
Councilmember Tupola?
Reservations.
Councilmember Wire?
Aye.
Chair Waters?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 9 ayes.
Thank you. CR 32 has been adopted, and Bill 41, 2022, CD2 has passed third reading. Moving to the top of page 10, Vice Chair Kia-Aina.
I move that Committee Report 33 be adopted and Bill 42, 2022, CD2 as amended past third reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Vice Chair Kia-Aina for the explanation.
This bill relates to the special management area.
Thank you very much. Mr. Clerk, do we have any registered or unregistered in-person testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have one registered testifier, but I believe he's no longer here, Mr. Fletcher.
Mr. Fletcher, I believe he has left the building as well. Hello, Mr. Manaku. Please proceed.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. James Monaco again. I still have to ask the question. As you know, that bill has been passed about the gun law, and the ability to have the homeowners protect their property is a real thing now. Yeah. So if I go along the ocean, am I protected? That's what I want to know. Because presently, as I go along the ocean today, I'm protected. I'm allowed to go and gather all the things that I need that the ocean offers me. With this new law that you guys proposing, am I still protected? Or are they allowed to tell me to get off their property and use a gun on me? That's my question. Because I'm concerned that some of these people may feel that they have that right to do that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there anybody else wishing to testify from the public? Seeing none. Mr. Clerk, are there any remote registered or unregistered testifiers?
Yes, we have one testifier standing by.
Aloha, Kayaka, Chair, Vice Chair, and the council members. Angela Mello Young, testifying to provide comments. So Bill 42 is, the purpose of the ordinance is to update the ROH to align with the Act 16, which is implemented by HRS Chapter 205A, and that's the state coastal zone management law. So generally, the set goals are to reduce exposure to coastal hazards, increase the resilience of the community, protect and preserve the natural shorelines, the coastal zone environments, and the associated ecosystems, and also to protect the beaches. So I'm just providing comments that with regards to the emergency proclamation from Dr. Green in the beginning of the season for the state legislature, it stops a few laws from taking place because of the declared emergency. So HRS 205A is one of the laws that it refers to. And so if this bill is trying to integrate with HRS 205, we just wanted to provide comments that it will probably be affected by the emergency proclamation. So thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you so much. Members, any questions for the testifier? Seeing none, is there any other remote testifiers, Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Chair, there are none.
Thank you. Members, we're in discussion. Councilmember Kia Aina.
Again, I wanted to mahalo everyone for their hard work and input on Bill 42. In order to maintain consistency with updated state requirements, Bill 42 would update the city's existing special management area laws and improve existing controls on development on the shoreline impacted by coastal hazards like storm surges and shoreline erosion, and now includes lots not directly on the shoreline. Consistent with state law, it would also clarify when an activity or action is considered development. Additionally, it would formalize best practices already in use by the city in its review of SMA permits and modernize our SMA procedures. Similarly to Bill 41, the Planning and Economy Committee passed a CD2 to Bill 42 to further streamline our SMA procedures and respond to community concerns. Most notably, it exempts landowners who intend to move their dwelling units to areas that are less susceptible to coastal hazards from having to get an SMA permit. Second, it proposes county SMA permit review guidelines to state that the agency and council, whenever reasonable, minimize risk to development from sea level rise and other coastal hazards. Third, it retains the authority of the DPP director to process an SMA permit application concurrently with the preparation of an environmental assessment or environmental impact statement. Fourth, it no longer requires single-family and two-family attached dwelling SMA major permit applicants from county-required environmental assessments and environmental impact statements. Lastly, I wanted to provide additional explanation about why I am supporting this last provision, which a few testifiers have raised concerns about. As a result of a new state law, substantially more projects that would not have had to obtain an SMA permit will now be required to obtain both a permit, which, as we know, can be an expensive and time-consuming process. And for projects that will require an SMA major permit, those applicants will also have to complete an environmental assessment or environmental impact statement, which again can be expensive and time-consuming. In an effort to be more balanced and mitigate these additional burdens, which is new for many projects, this last amendment would simplify the SMA applications and reduce the cost and time to attain approval for applications related to single-family and two-family detached dwellings. In discussions with DPP, it was made clear that these applicants will still need to provide robust information for consideration of the SMA permit. I also want to clarify that this amendment in no way affects projects that trigger state-required EAs and/or EISs. In other words, single-family homes and two-family detached dwellings that propose use of state or county lands or funds that are within the conservation district or within the shoreline setback area will still trigger Hawaii Revised Statute 343 and may still require an EA or EIS. I urge my colleagues to support the CD2.
Thank you so much. Members, any further discussion? Councilmember Tupola.
Thank you so much. In support, and I just wanted to say thank you for all the work on that CD2 and for the explanation. This is something that a lot of our constituents are concerned. Grateful that DPP is going to do some outreach. Grateful for the timeline that was pushed back on the previous bill. And I will be voting in support of this. And I'm very grateful that there were some streamlined processes for DPP. We're not trying to make anything more burdensome or laborious for them, as we know that we already have a big backlog there. So thank you again for everyone that worked very hard on this.
Thank you. Members, any further comments? Councilmember Wire.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I just wanted to echo that in regards to Bill 41 and 42, to mahalo Vice Chair and all her staff for working super hard to ensure that both of the bills both meet the needs of, where we need to go to respond to climate changes, but also meet the needs of our community. So mahalo for that.
Thank you. Any further discussion, members? I have a question for DPP real quick. I do want to echo the comments of Vice Chair Kiaina and others that this was a really difficult subject and you worked really hard, so thank you. But there are members like Mr. Manaku and others who may be watching on TV, so I just want to clarify, we're not talking about infringing on the public's right to beach access, right?
Right, that's correct.
Okay. You good, Mr. Manaku? Okay. Thank you so much. Councilmember Kiaina.
I wanted to also mahalo the Office of Consul Services, your staff, as well as my Chief of Staff, Jocelyn Doan, for all their hard work to work with all of the agencies, as well as testimonial concerns over the last several months.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Dos Santos Dam?
Aye.
Councilmember Kiaina?
Aye.
Councilmember Okimoto?
Aye.
Councilmember Say? Aye. Councilmember Talba?
Aye.
Councilmember Tupola?
Aye.
Councilmember Wire?
Aye.
Chair Waters?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 9 ayes.
Thank you. CR 33 has been adopted, and Bill 42, 2022, CD2 has passed third reading. Now to the top of page 10, first reading measures. Vice Chair Kiaina.
I move that the first reading items listed on pages 10 and 11 of the agenda pass first reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Vice Chair Kia Aina for the explanation.
Bill 2 amends Chapter 10, Article 4, revised ordinances in Honolulu 2021 relating to fees for use of municipal golf courses. Bill 3 relates to public sidewalks. Bill 4 relates to the adoption of the State Energy Conservation Code. Bill 5 relates to reporting requirements. And Bill 6 relates to professional certification.
Thank you so much, Mr. Clerk. Are there any in-person registered testifiers on any of the bills listed on page 10 and 11?
We have one, Mr. Ken Farm, who signed up.
Hello, Mr. Farm. Thank you for waiting patiently. Please proceed.
Not used to this. Usually the mic is here. So I just want to make some points here. So this is in regards to Bill 3, which I support. And one of the things that I wanted to say, there's actually 4 points. So the first point is that we create, that's what it's saying, the language for the inclusion of areas like Kanoa Street. I know it was part in terms of Kapalama, but also it allows for a greater sense of the community that's already there, the existing community. Because right now, I can show you pictures of what the area looks like. Originally, what the county did was they put these barriers that were there, and it was to prevent cars from being parked. But what it did at the same time was it pretty much created these barriers that allowed these encampments to happen. And we've had issues where there were fires and other things that happened with that. The next thing here, it does not solve the problem of homelessness. It doesn't solve the problem of encampments. So that's something that, there needs to be, more thought into. But right now, this is just immediate relief for the community. There needs to be a comprehensive strategy between the council and the state regards to housing, social services. I know that you guys are doing what you guys can, but that is something that kind of how we can do 30 seconds.
Please proceed.
And as for myself, I look at, policies based on basic premises. So I have actually what I've created in terms of basic premises dealing with some of these situations, be more than willing to share that. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, council members.
Thank you. Members, any questions for the testifier? Seeing none. Any other in-person testifiers? Please proceed. And please state your name and which bill you're testifying on.
Aloha Kayaka. We should really get one of the mics where you don't have to push the button. Aloha Kayaka. I'm Angela Melody Young. I'm testifying to provide comments. Do I have 1 minute or 3 minutes?
1 minute per bill.
Okay, so
There are 4
about Bill
bills.
3, I just wanted to provide comments because just a perspective. So the homelessness that it's trying to address, you may negatively impact the homeless people if you do pass this bill because of you're moving them around, right? So when you move them around, if there's not a backup plan, right, then they don't have any place to go. So I get that the intention of the measure is really good to address homelessness, right, to protect the community. But the thing is, you have to think about unintended consequences. So let me just, I've been talking about core crisis outreach response engagement modeled after STAR from Denver. And I just got updated data from the Colorado's, their model, STAR. They also balanced it out. So STAR is the compassionate team with the snacks and the waters to provide for the homeless people. But then SET is it's a deputized civilian team to give out tickets on the streets. So it balances out SET and STAR. And the SET members have been training with STAR team members for months. And the city has been moving forward with both STAR and SET. And STAR was the first successful pilot program that influenced CORE.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you very much. Members, any questions for the testifier? Seeing none. I do note that we have Carson Peapea Lalo also registered remotely to testify. Mr. Clerk, is Carson available?
Mr. Chair, none of the persons who registered to testify remotely are logged on right now.
For bills 3 and 4, correct?
For pages 10 and 11.
Okay. Sir, please come forward. Please state your name and the bill you're testifying on.
Chair Waters, council members, my name is Howard Wigg. I'm with the Hawaii State Energy Office, testifying on Bill 4, which would update the International Energy Conservation Code. I'll cover only those items that actually decrease the cost of construction. Number one, there's an amendment here which would eliminate the need for floor insulation in residences. We live in the most beautiful climate in the world. We don't need floor insulation. Estimated cost of floor insulation is maybe $2 a square foot. $2 times 2,000 square foot, boom, $4,000 in the homeowner's pocket. Number two, roof reflectivity for flat roofs. Instead of having a strict insulation requirement, we have been working with the Roofing Contractors Association of Hawaii, and we propose to adopt the Title 24, that's California's energy bill, where certain reflectivity. I have 30 seconds, Mr. Chair.
Please.
Yeah. Number three, wall reflectivity. We've given the option of having reflective walls that reflect the sun's heat instead of having to put in expensive exterior insulation. We have specified higher lighting efficacy because LEDs have improved head and shoulders. If we specify those higher efficacies, we don't need as many fixtures and we don't need the electricians to put in more fixtures. Reduction of cost. Finally, we offer the Tropical Energy Code, which allows people to build homes very much in the spirit in which we grew up in those homes. And that concludes my testimony. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Members, do you have any questions for the testifier? Seeing none, I would also encourage you to come testify at the committee level when appropriate. Mr. Clerk, are there any other testifiers either remotely signed up or unregistered or in person?
Mr. Chair, that concludes the testifiers.
Thank you so much. Members, we're in discussion. Councilmember Tupola, followed by Councilmember Dos Santos Tam.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just had comments on Bill 3 and Bill 6, but I will be voting yes on both, just for clarity. Is it okay to make both, or you want me to just do Bill 3?
No, please proceed.
Okay, thank you. Interestingly, last night, Bill 3 came up in my neighborhood board meeting. I do have constituents that work around that area, and the state judiciary did reopen the detention center around there. So people asking for a few more streets to be included. Aside from that possible proposal for the future, I just wanted to actually echo what Mr. Farm said regarding a need for a plan. So definitely, I think we're all in favor of restoring public spaces. The program, consequently, because we didn't have a city plan, I kind of created my own district plan that I'm trying to restore public places, reconnect individuals with resources, and revive how we do our outreach process. So I think this bill, similarly to another resolution that we actually just took up in public safety, all require funding and a plan. So I just wanted to iterate that I don't think we're going to get very far if we're not adequately funding DFM, who actually, without a lot of manpower and without a lot of trucks, handles a lot of this stuff for us. I do also think that probably district-wide, we're going to have to start making our own plans and moving forward with it, because I do think that will help us to have a more comprehensive proposed solution. So I am in favor of this bill. Bill 6, just briefly, I definitely think that the administration, especially Director Apuna, is going the right direction. I already got emails about this bill as well. So for those who are watching, there are going to be administrative rules that happen after the bill is passed. So I know a lot of people were like, where's the specificity? It'll happen in the rulemaking process, and the department will then outline what's going to happen with who is doing self-certification, what professions they can have, what projects are going to be allowed, which ones are not. So it's not going to be a blanket, everybody can start to do it. But I do think it's going to help in streamlining the permitting process. This bill, in addition to Bill 56, 58, Resolutions 22-261 and 22-299, can all help expedite the permitting process, and I'm looking forward to us doing more to make this happen. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Members, any further discussion? Councilmember Dos Santos Tam.
Chair and colleagues, I want to thank you for entertaining Bill 3. You know, this area, as Neighborhood Board Chair Farr mentioned, has been the subject of numerous attempts to address the persistent homeless encampment, which has been there going on probably 7 or 8 years by now. There's been crime and vandalism in the area, open drug use, trash, fires. In fact, Councilmember Cordero and I were driving by last month, and there was literally a tent on fire. We stopped the car to go check it out. And there's, of course, hygiene issues and a number of other things which go on there. I had the opportunity to walk around the area with the Reverend from St. Elizabeth's Church, which is right there. And, you know, the church members have been very compassionate. They've been very kind. But even the Reverend recognized the neighbors, the community, and the businesses in the area have borne this issue for far too long. And as Councilmember Tupola has brought up, you know, we need a plan to deal with these folks. So, you know, I'm not, philosophically, the sit-lie ban is not a matter of first resort, it's a matter of last resort. But, you know, this community down in Palama, which oftentimes does not speak up, which oftentimes just, you know, sucks it up and gets along with what's happening, you know, they've had enough and we need to respond to that. And so I'd like to ask for my colleagues' indulgence on passing Bill 3 to help these neighbors, and then, of course, working to hold the administration accountable and also to push forward a plan to address the very persistent homeless that have remained in this spot for years.
Thank you so much. Members, any further discussion? Councilmember Wire.
Thank you, Chair. I'll just note reservations on Bill 3, but otherwise understand Councilmember Dos Santos Tam, you know, what he indicated, that this isn't a first response, but just another tool in the toolkit. Mahalo.
Thank you, members. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Any no's on any of the bills on pages 10 and 11? Okay, so we can take this as a group vote. Noting no objections or reservations on bills on page 10 and 11, the first reading items on pages 10 and 11 of the agenda have passed first reading. Oh, one reservation for Councilmember Wire on Bill 3. Thank you. Turning now to page 12, the top of page 12 from the Committee on Budget, Councilmember Cordero.
I move that Committee Report 15 and Resolution 23-2, CD1, as amended, be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Cordero for the explanation.
This resolution relates to the reprogramming of American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 state and local fiscal recovery funds program for the rental and utility relief program.
Thank you. Is there a motion to amend?
Yes, I move that the resolution be amended to the posted FD1.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Cordero for the explanation of the amendment.
The FD1 makes amendments set forth in the written summary.
Thank you so much. Mr. Clerk, are there any registered in-person or unregistered in-person speakers?
There are no registered testifiers. I believe we have one person.
Okay, welcome, Angela. Please proceed.
Aloha, Kayaka, Chair, Vice Chair, and the council members. Angela Melody Young, testifying in strong support. So the American Rescue Plan Act from 2021 provides over $1.9 trillion in relief to address the continued impact of the COVID infection on the economy, public health, state and local governments, individuals, and businesses. So the American Plan Rescue Plan Act provides for various subject matters, not just homelessness. I think it provides for education, transportation. There are also some other subject matters that I didn't mention that you could research, and then it would just be a matter of accessing the grant. So, but as it pertains to this measure that we are talking about today, I just wanted to provide comments that it would, oh, okay. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you very much. Mr. Clerk, are there any in-person registered or unregistered testifiers?
That concludes the in-person testifiers.
Are there any remote testifiers?
We have had one signed up, but that person does not appear to be logged on.
Okay. Members, we're in discussion. Any discussion on the motion to amend? Noting no discussion, any objections or reservations to the motion to amend? Seeing none, Resolution 23-2 CD1 has been amended to the posted FD1. Now, members, we're in discussion on the posted FD1. No discussion, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 15 and Resolution 23-2 CD1 FD1 has been adopted. Councilmember Cordero.
I move that Committee Report 16 and Resolution 23-14 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Cordero for the explanation.
The resolution relates to a transfer of funds within the Department of Transportation Services.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Are there any in-person or remote speakers?
We have no registered testifiers in person. I believe we have one.
Okay,
desiring to speak.
please proceed, Angela.
Aloha, Kayaka, Chair, Vice Chair, and the members of, and the council members. Angela Melly Young testifying just to provide comments. We are in support of the Department of Transportation Services and the transfer of funds. I think I read before that an American Rescue Plan Act was accessed by the California City Council's Transportation Department to build roads. Yeah, I mean, we're looking forward to seeing how more funds can provide more equitable opportunities for communities. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you very much. Members, we're in discussion. Noting no discussion, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 16 and Resolution 23-14 has been adopted. Now to the top of page 13, Councilmember Cordero.
I move that Committee Report 17 and Resolution 23-15 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Cordero for the explanation.
This resolution is another DTS transfer of funds.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, are there any registered or unregistered speakers, both remotely or in person?
Mr. Chair, we have no registered testifiers, either remotely or in person.
Okay, are there any unregistered testifiers?
Mr. Chair, there are none.
Thank you very much. Members, we're in discussion. Noting no discussion, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 17 and Resolution 23-15 has been adopted. From the Committee on Executive Matters and Legal Affairs, Councilmember Dos Santos Tam.
Chair, I move that Committee Report 21 and Resolution 22-262 CD1 be amended, as amended,
Second.
be adopted.
Oh, sorry.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Dos Santos Tam for the explanation.
Chair, this resolution urges the city administration to formally recognize and observe November 28th as La Ku'okoa Hawaiian Independence Day.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion to amend? Councilmember Tupolo.
I move to further amend Resolution 22-262 CD1 to the hand-carried FD1. The proposed FD1 makes the following amendments. A, includes the Hawaiian language translation of the resolution, and B, makes miscellaneous technical and non-substantive amendments.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Mr. Clerk, and explained. Mr. Clerk, are there any registered in-person or remote testifiers?
Mr. Chair, there are no registered testifiers. Both.
Are there any unregistered in-person or remote testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members, we are in discussion on the motion to amend. Seeing none, any objections or reservations to the motion to amend? Noting no objections or reservations, the resolution has been amended to the hand-carried FD1. Any objections or reservations to waive Council Rule 19G? the 48-hour notice? Seeing none, any discussion on the matter? Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 21 and Resolution 20.
Could I just make a comment on the bill?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, of course. Councilmember Tupolo.
Thank you so much. I just want to thank my staff for helping me with this, but also the professor who helped with the translation, Professor Kayo Nesmith from University of Hawaii at Manoa, for translating this resolution into Olelo Hawaii. Professor Nesmith is a native Hawaiian linguist, educator, translator. He's actually translated a number of books into Hawaiian, including The Hobbit, The Little Prince, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, and the entire Harry Potter series. He's currently working on a Hawaiian translation of the Chronicles of Narnia. E helehelo ana wau I ke kahi apana o keia palapala. O ia ua ku kala ku ukoa I mea hoike hoi o ho o ia i'o no ke ku a ke kulana ku okoa o ke aupuni mo I Hawaii ma loko o kona mo olelo. A he hoike ho'omai kai ke aupuni mo I a me kona mau kupa. A he ho'omai kai ia la nui I ke aloha aina o no maka aina na Hawaii ia Hawaii nei I ka wā mamua me keia wā nei. Ano laila e ho'oholo ia ke mana o i'o nei ka aha ku lana kau hale. He mea ko'i loa e ho'omana'o e ho'olaulea I ke aloha aina ku'i'o loa o nā kama'aina no Hawaii a ho'oia i'o I ka pono o ke ku'oko'a mai ke au mamua mai o ke aupuni mo I Hawaii. I just wanted to encourage our communities that are already celebrating La Ku'oko'a to continue on, as well as La Ho'iho'i'ea. Grateful for this day that we actually acknowledge Punana Leo, which is one of the main restarters of the Hawaiian language, a big rock in the Hawaiian culture and Hawaiian community. And of course, celebrating this month of Mahina Olelo Hawaii, and thankful to the chair for passing this forward and for all who were able to make this. Thank you as well to the counties, because actually every county has already passed this and they had the Olelo Hawaii attached to it. So I didn't want us to go without it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Nice, thank you. Any further discussion, members? Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 21 and Resolution 22-262 CD1 FD1 has been adopted. Now moving to the top of page 14 from the Committee on Transportation, Councilmember Dos Santos Tam.
Chair, I move that Committee Report 25 and Resolution 22-281 CD1 as amended be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Dos Santos Tam for the explanation.
This requests the City Administration to provide an update on the status of the Transit Construction Mitigation Fund and Program.
Thank you so much, Mr. Clerk. Are there any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have one unregistered in-person testifier and one person standing by video conference.
Thank you so much. Angela, please proceed.
Aloha, Kayaka, Chair, Vice Chair, and the council members. I'm Angela Melody Young, testifying in strong support. Any way we can support HART is critical to the improvements of the rail construction. And I just want to shout out to the director, Lori, and for, her leading the transit construction. And thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you so much. I do believe Lori Kaikina, Honolulu Authority for Rapid Transportation, is available remotely. Is that correct, Mr. Clerk?
She's standing by.
Mr. Chair.
Aloha.
Aloha. Sorry I could not be there in person, but I just would like to provide testimony orally. I did already submit something in writing, but the HART Board of Directors does not take a position on the intent of this resolution, but did vote unanimously if we could respectfully remove the phrase including the division of responsibility between HART and the Department of Budget and Fiscal Services from the second to last paragraph of the resolution 22-281 CD1. So that concludes my testimony, Chair.
Thank you so much. Any questions for the testifier? Councilmember Cordero.
Thank you. Director Kahikina, do you feel that the responses between our Budget and Fiscal Services Director as well as HART representatives, HART representatives suffices in response to the resolution where there has been succinct division between both HART and the city administration? Already?
In the past, yes, as stated in the resolution in the past, there was a very distinct division between administration and HART. Right now, I believe we are in line, but the board of directors has taken the stance that HART is not equipped to administer this program.
I understand. And also the resolution requests the city administration. It doesn't specifically say HART. It doesn't say HART to provide an update on the status of the Transit Construction Mitigation Fund. And I think also in the resolution, it does state that it was the position before from the past administration about, whether HART should take responsibility or not. And so even a verbal and even your written testimony does provide that response to, in part to the resolution already.
Yes, Chair, you're absolutely correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any further questions for Director Kahikina? Seeing none, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Clerk, are there any other testifiers?
Mr. Chair, there are none.
Thank you. Members, we're in discussion. Councilmember Dos Santos Town.
Chair, I was wondering if Director Kawano is available, just for a quick question. I just want to make sure, and we did hear this in committee, but I want to make sure it's on record here at Council. We just heard from HART that HART does not believe it's their responsibility to administer this program. Previous Budget and Fiscal Services Director took the position that the administration at that time did not feel like it was their responsibility. I just want to ask for the record here, under your leadership as Director of BFS, do you believe it's BFS's responsibility to administer these funds? Somebody has to do it.
Good afternoon, Chair Waters, Vice Chair Kiaina. Oh, she's not here. Oh, Vice Chair Kiaina is here. Budget Chair Cordero, Council members, Andy Kawano, Director of Budget and Fiscal Services. Yes, BFS and the administration are both willing to take a look at the current status of the Transit Mitigation Fund as it relates to rail construction along the Dillingham corridor. And we understand that upon adoption of the resolution, we'll have 90 days to submit a plan and communicate the results of our study, and perhaps, if we can, recommendation on actions going forward.
Any further questions, council members? Councilmember Say.
Yes, Mr. Kawano, I'm just surprised, and there's no one to blame. I'm not here to blame anyone, but it was adopted in 2018, if I recall, this mitigation fund. And in the article that came out this morning or yesterday, the fact of the matter that the money that the council had appropriated was lapsed. So I apologize for the past 2 years that we did not even fulfill our obligation. If I knew about this particular fund, Mr. Chair, maybe we could have tried to address it. But the bigger issue today for me is the question that the funding for business operations during a construction period, should it not fall upon the board, HART board, because they have the resources on the TAT, the general excise tax, etc. But it may jeopardize even our full funding grant agreement with FTA now, because this is another additional cost to the operations of the capital construction of HART. I wish the council in 2018 had really delineated what source of funding would have been in place for this. And maybe, Mr. Kawano, do you have any ideas what was it in 5 years ago? Because it just caught me off guard when I saw the headlines this morning.
Well, honestly, in terms of my preparation for the earlier Committee on Budget meeting, it was the first time that I was aware of the fund as well. I understand that the fund has no cash in it. As a result, it's not reported in the ACFR. The fund does exist, but it's essentially inactive. And I don't want to denigrate or say anything negative about, the past. I think going forward, we can, take a look at where we are today, status. And as I mentioned last time, we have to really think about how we would execute paying any kind of relief to businesses, other commercial concerns that are impacted, because we're going to have to go through documentation and ensure that the rail construction itself is impacting business adversely. So that all has to be figured out, and then we have to, as I mentioned, want to be fair, want to be equitable with what happened to some extent in the past, but as well as knowing that going forward, as we move into areas with more density, if we commit to Dillingham, we probably have to commit in downtown, and as we go into city center, that area. So there's going to be more liability. On top of that, I'm responsible to balance the budget, and through next year, 2025 and going forward, we continue to have commitments to meet pay increases per the last collective bargaining agreement. We have expectations for more service. Dawn to dusk will continue. We've been talking about public safety. All of that has to be funded. So we're going to have, it's going to be, I think, a good assessment that we do over the next 90 days if this reso is adopted. So just leave it at that.
Any further questions for Director Kawano? Seeing none, thank you, Director. Members, we're still in discussion. Seeing no further discussion, any objections or reservations? Councilmember Say.
No, Mr. Chair, with reservations, because I don't know what the fiscal impact will be to the general fund. My opinion is that because this is a construction project, the relocation of businesses are tied to the construction. So I believe Hart should be paying for it rather than we and the city council. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Noting no objections, but one reservation. CR 25 and Resolution 22-281 CD1 has been adopted. Councilmember Dos Santos Tam.
Chair, I move that CR 26 and Resolution 22-300 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Dos Santos Tam for the explanation.
This relates to an appointment to the Honolulu Authority for Rapid Transportation Board of Directors.
I do believe Robert Yu is present. Would you like to say a few words, sir? Hello and welcome, and thank you for waiting patiently. I did notice you in the audience for a few hours now. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair Water, Vice Chair Kiaina, members of the City Council. Thank you for taking up my nomination to the Hart Board of Directors. And also, I want to thank you to each one of you for meeting with me individually to talk about the project as well. So as a board member, I do feel I have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure the money spent on the project, we spend it responsibly, and that the project is run smoothly and properly. And as a board member, I will uphold that responsibility. So thank you again for taking up my nomination, and I look forward to serving on the board if I'm fortunate enough to be confirmed. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Members, any questions for the nominee? Seeing none, thank you, sir. Mr. Clerk, is there anybody wishing to testify either in person or remotely about
Mr. Chair, we have one remote testifier standing by.
Ms. Iwasa, aloha. Please proceed.
Okay. Can you hear me? We had a little.
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. Natalie Wassa for the record. Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, council members. I'm testifying in my individual capacity. It's been well over a year since the last council appointee was a member of the HART board. And I just wanted to raise awareness that this sends a message that the HART board isn't a priority for the council. Last year, I don't know how many times you paid attention to HART board meetings, but we had several that were either canceled or had to be terminated early because of lack of quorum. And so I just wanted to impress upon you the importance of when you're appointing people that timeliness is really important. And the other part of this is that you're taking another state appointee and so there's either a problem getting people on the board or a lack of timeliness. And so I also wanted to mention that it's time, in my opinion, to look at restructuring rail management. And I've mentioned that several times before. I also just wanted to really express my support for Robert. He was a CFO before under HART, and I respect his opinions. And I actually hope that the HART chair will appoint him to chair of the finance committee, because we are in desperate need of somebody who can really guide that committee and the finances for HART. So thank you for allowing me to go a little bit over my time.
Thank you. Members, any questions for the testifier? Councilmember Tupola.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Iwasa, for being here. And I agree with you. I wholeheartedly support this nominee. I just had a follow-up question for what you stated in regards to the management. Are you suggesting, in short, a reorganization of the management of HART or the reorganization of the layout of the HART board members?
Actually, what I would prefer is dissolving HART and creating a hybrid committee that would be a combination of what we have now, so that we would have the same type of public input, the same type of public information, but putting it under the DTS. And I'd be happy to talk to you more about that at another time.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Members, any questions for the testifier? Seeing none, members, we're still in discussion. Noting no discussion, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 26 and Resolution 22-300 has been adopted. Congratulations and thank you, Mr. Yu. Now moving to the top of page 15 from the Committee on Zoning, Councilmember Say.
Mr. Chair, I move that committee report number 27, resolution 22-276, committee draft 1, as amended, be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Say for the explanation.
It's just granting a special management area use permit to allow the construction of a new single-family dwelling with a two-car garage and supporting infrastructure at tax map key 5-7-003:057 in Kahuku.
Thank you so much. Mr. Clerk, is there anybody wishing to testify on this matter?
Mr. Chair, we have no registered testifiers, either remotely or in person.
Thank you so much. Members, we're in discussion. Noting no discussion, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam? Councilmember Kia Aina?
Aye.
Councilmember Okimoto?
Aye.
Councilmember Say?
Aye.
Councilmember Talba?
Aye.
Councilmember Tupola?
Aye.
Councilmember Wire?
Aye.
Chair Waters?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 8 ayes, 1 member is absent.
Thank you. CR 27 and Resolution 22-276, CD1 has been adopted. Councilmember Say.
Mr. Chair, I move that committee report number 28 and resolution 22-293, committee draft 1, as amended, be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Say for the explanation.
This is also granting a special management area use permit to allow the renovations and additions at Sea Life Park at tax map key 4-1-014:004 in Waimanalo.
Thank you so much. I noted that Jeff Overton has registered to testify and he's present, so please proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Jeff Overton with G70 representing Sea Life Park. Want to thank all the council members and Chair Say and the Zoning Committee for their recommendation for support. With me here today, Barbara Natal from G70, our senior planner, Valerie King, the general manager of Sea Life Park. We're here available for any questions on this matter. We appreciate your support. Mahalo.
Members, any questions for the testifier? Councilmember Kiaina.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Overton. And thank you for meeting with me and talking about what you're proposing, as well as during the hearing. As you know, my interest, of course, is that with all of your investments, I just want to make sure that you are, in the expiration of the current lease by DLNR, which expires in 2027, that Sea Life Park's interests are being safeguarded. In particular, I guess I just wanted to know, are you guys going to have separate dialogue from Hawaii Pacific University in engaging in a long-term lease with DLNR separate from the current sublease that you have with Oceanic Institute?
Okay, as I understand your question, are we following up with the idea that we talk directly with DLNR or Sea Life Park? The lease is, again, with HBU, and Sea Life Park is a tenant of theirs here, again, not gaining revenue gained by that. Would we have a separate lease arrangement? There can be some follow-up discussions. Right now, it's really our main leaseholder, who is HPU, that's responsible for that. So we're going to maintain a dialogue, and we could discuss that option.
Can I ask what your sublease rent is? Because according to this document, which is, they have a 65-year lease, they're paying $140,800 per annum. Can I ask what your sublease is with Oceanic Institute?
So I'm going to bring up Valerie King to respond directly to the question on the lease. Val? If she can.
Okay, so you're asking what our lease is specifically with HPU?
Yes, because according to this document I'm looking at, they are paying DLNR $140,800 per annum. So I'm wondering what you pay to Oceanic Institute.
Okay, we do pay that minimum, as well as 2% on revenue.
I'm sorry, I'm confused. What does that mean? What minimum?
We pay the minimum required to DLNR directly, and we also pay a percentage to HPU.
You pay this $140,000?
Yes.
So what does Oceanic Institute pay?
I'm not familiar with their lease.
I'm so sorry. I just and by the way, of course, I support your SMA. I'm just thinking that you guys are spending all this money, and to better safeguard your interests, you should have a separate lease agreement, since the lease agreement is coming up in 2027. I also care about the manner of how DLNR and all public lands in Hawaii are engaging with lessee. So I'm sorry to be asking so many questions, but I feel that they are legitimate questions to ask, because this is a public land trust, and I support you. And so I just don't see why, since the lease is expiring in 2027, that you don't bifurcate the two lease agreements, the current lease, so that Oceanic Institute has a lease for their portion, and then you have a lease for your portion, because you're clearly investing millions and millions of dollars into your infrastructure versus what Oceanic Institute. So that's my only question. Thank you.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions for Mr. Overton or Sea Life Park? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Clerk, are there any other testifiers on this measure?
Yes, Mr. Chair. One unregistered testifier signing by.
Please proceed.
Aloha, Kayaka, Chair, Vice Chair, and the council members. I'm testifying in support for Sea Life Park on behalf of ROAR, Rescue of Animal Rights. And so previously, I mentioned a lot of the renovations and the
benefits for the aquatic life and also for the other marine animals. And so the Sea Lion Cove will be getting a frameless glass railing. I think it divides the sea lions and then the public, right? So it's a modern design and it's very safe. It meets the building code requirements. And so I'm just trying to read my notes here. And then also the Honu Conservation and Education Center and the Sea Lion Pool and Ocean Theater will be receiving renovations. So we should support Sea Life Park. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clerk. Are there any other persons wishing to testify on this measure?
Mr. Chair, that concludes the testifiers.
Thank you so much, members. We're in discussion. Noting no discussion, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam?
Excused.
Councilmember Kia Aina?
Aye.
Councilmember Okimoto?
Aye.
Councilmember Say? Aye. Councilmember Talbot?
Aye.
Councilmember Tupola?
Aye.
Councilmember Wire?
Aye.
Chair Waters?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 8 ayes, 1 member is absent.
Thank you. CR 28 and Resolution 22-293, CD1 has been adopted. Now to the top of page 16, Councilmember Say.
Mr. Chair, I move that Committee Report Number 29 and Resolution 22-296 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Say for the explanation.
Once more is granting a special management area use permit to allow a new single-family dwelling and individual wastewater system at 67-433 Waialua Beach Road.
Thank you so much, Mr. Clerk. Are there any persons wishing to testify, either in person or remote?
Mr. Chair, we have no registered testifiers.
Thank you so much. Members, we're in discussion. Councilmember Say?
Yep, Mr. Chair, it's an excellent project as the presentation was reflected at the zoning committee hearing. And I just wish that the developer or the person that was the landlord would be here to maybe talk about his project also to the full council, but that's okay. It's a good project. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any further discussion, members? Noting none, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam? Councilmember Kia Aina?
Aye.
Councilmember Okimoto?
Aye.
Councilmember Say? Aye. Councilmember Talba?
Aye.
Councilmember Tupola?
Aye.
Councilmember Wire?
Aye.
Chair Waters?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 8 ayes, 1 member is absent.
Thank you. CR 29 and Resolution 22-296 has been adopted. Councilmember Say.
Mr. Chair, I move that Committee Report Number 30 and Resolution 23-11, Committee Draft 1, as amended, be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Say for the explanation.
Authorizing exemptions from certain requirements relating to the 4th Street Mall Affordable Senior Rental Housing Project in downtown Honolulu. The applicant is our Catholic Charities Housing Development Corporation.
Thank you very much. I note that Sterling Higa had signed up to testify remotely. Is Mr. Higa available?
Mr. Chair, Mr. Higa is not logged on.
Thank you. Are there any other persons wishing to testify, either in person or remotely?
Mr. Chair, there are no one indicating so.
Thank you so much. Members, we're in discussion.
It's another great program for our seniors for the 4th Street Mall area, and having the Catholic Charities be a part of the development project. It is for the beneficiary of our seniors also. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Say. I do note that Isaiah Sato is available if members have any questions. Any further discussion, members? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam? Councilmember Kia Aina?
Aye.
Councilmember Okimoto?
Aye.
Councilmember Say? Aye. Councilmember Talba?
Aye.
Councilmember Tupola?
Aye.
Councilmember Wire?
Aye.
Chair Waters?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 8 ayes, 1 member is absent.
Thank you. CR 30 and Resolution 23-11, CD1 has been adopted. Now to the top of page 17 from the Committee on Housing, Sustainability, and Health. Councilmember Wire.
I'd move that CR 31 Resolution 23-3 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Wire for the explanation.
Affirming the city's ongoing commitment to the goals of the Paris Climate Agreement and endorsing the Fossil Fuel Non-Proliferation Treaty.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion to amend?
I move that the resolution be amended to the posted FD1.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Kiaina for the explanation of the amendment.
The FD1 makes the amendment set forth in the written summary as posted on the agenda. My proposed FD1 would merely remove specific names of the treaty initiative leadership while maintaining the titles to be consistent with how our resolutions generally include notices and potential account for change and turnover in the leadership over time.
Thank you so much. Mr. Clerk, are there any testifiers on the motion to amend?
Mr. Chair, we have 2 persons logged on to testify.
Okay, please proceed.
Aloha, council members and staff, and mahalo nui for the opportunity to testify. My name is Ann Pernick. I work with the Fossil Fuel Non-Proliferation Treaty Initiative and Safe Cities that Stand at Earth, and I live in Portland, Oregon. It is our pleasure to work with volunteer advocates and government leaders across Hawaii on endorsements of the Fossil Fuel Non-Proliferation Treaty. The treaty is a critical complement to the Paris Accord because the Accord does not mention oil, gas, or coal, and because currently the amount of fossil fuel production and consumption planned around the world is more than twice what is consistent with limiting warming to 1.5 degrees C. As the Council takes important local actions to limit fossil fuel and climate change impacts, achieve your commitments to the Paris Accord, and increase resilience for Honolulu City and County, you're calling for a global treaty to stop this fossil fuel growth and create a just transition to renewable energy is especially powerful. Mahalo nui to Council Chair Waters and Council Member Wire for introducing this resolution, to the Committee on Housing, Sustainability, and Health for recommending its passage, and to you all for your consideration. I encourage a yes vote. Mahalo, and I know we have one more testifier, at least in person, and one more virtually. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I do note that we do have 4 people who registered to testify, including Ann Pernick. Peter Greenhill. Is Peter Greenhill available to testify?
Mr. Chair, the testifier is not logged on.
Okay, I notice Josh Cooper is present. Aloha, welcome. Thank you. Please proceed.
Learning the new system. Aloha, great to be here. Thank you, Chair Waters, as well as honorable members of the council. It's great to be here and to have the people on. Really, the Paris Agreement was so significant for the planet, also for the Pacific specifically, and our people of Hawaii. And this Fossil Fuel Non-Proliferation Treaty adds to the chorus of what's important. What we're really looking at is cultivating a culture of the right to a clean, healthy environment, as well as resilience and the right to renewable energy. And Hawaii has been in the lead. It's an honor that we are here today. And since the last time we met at the committee meeting, we even see a cyclone hitting our brothers and sisters in Aotearoa. So climate change is an existential threat for many people around the world, and we think Hawaii being in the lead is a very important position. So I want to thank you all for the leadership, and we know that the Hawaii State Legislature was the first state to adopt it last year, and tomorrow I leave for the University of British Columbia, and they were the first city to adopt it. So it's really gaining a lot of momentum. It fills in a little puka from the Paris Agreement, but more importantly, it shows the solidarity we share with all people who are combating climate crisis and doing their best to live. That was where I was ending. Mahalo.
Thank you so much. Any questions for the testifier? Seeing none, thank you again. Next, I have Joseph Moyono Kolio. Hello and welcome.
Aloha, council members. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please proceed.
Cool. Aloha, council members. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today. My name is Joseph Monacolio. I'm the lead Pacific advisor to the Treaty Initiative to speak in support of the resolution today. I want to make an important note of context here. Honolulu is not alone in making this call today. Some 70 cities, subnational governments have already made this call. And last year on the floor of the UN General Assembly, Vanuatu became the first country to publicly call for this. And then that was followed by the government of Tuvalu, who called for this at the UN Climate Summit. So as you can see, Council members, the resolution before you today is one that is being proposed not just by us, but by our communities, leaders, youth, and elders alike, right throughout the Moana, right throughout the Pacific. And so we look to you today, the leaders of Honolulu, to vote yes and join the rest of Hawaii and the rest of the Pacific in making that call with us. So mahalo nui, and I thank you all for your time.
Thank you. Members, any questions for the testifier? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, anybody else wishing to testify on the motion to amend?
Mr. Chair, we have one in-person testifier.
I think she changed her mind. Okay. Thank you very much. Members, we're in discussion on the motion to amend. No discussion, any objections or reservations to the motion to amend? Seeing none, no objections or reservations. Resolution 23-4 has been amended to the posted FD1. Members, we're now in discussion on the posted FD1, and I will also like to open it up to testimony for the FD1. Angela, please proceed.
Yeah, I didn't want to testify about the motion to amend. It wasn't about the motion to amend, it's about the actual measure. Okay. Aloha Kayaka, Chair, Vice Chair, and the council members. I'm Angela Melody Young, testifying just to provide comments. The Paris Agreement is a legally binding international treaty on climate change, and it was adopted by 196 parties at the UN Climate Change Conference, COP21, in Paris, France, in 2015. And it entered into force on November 4th, 2016. And the goal is to hold the increase in the global average temperature to well below 2 degrees Celsius, and pursue efforts to limit the temperature increase to 1.5 degrees Celsius. However, in recent years, world leaders have stressed the need to limit global warming to 1.5 Celsius by the end of this century. So that's because the UN Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change indicates that crossing the 1.5 Celsius threshold risks unleashing far more severe climate change impacts, including more frequent and severe droughts, heat waves, and rainfalls. So to limit global warming to 1.5 Celsius degrees, greenhouse gas emissions must peak before 2025 at the latest and decline 43% by 2030. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you so much. Members, we're in discussion. I do want to note the presence of Matthew Gonzer in the event that anybody has any questions. Noting no further discussion, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 31 and Resolution 23-3 FD1 has been adopted. From the Committee on Public Safety, Councilmember Okimoto.
Thank you, Chair. I move that Committee Report 35 and Resolution 23-5 be adopted.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Okimoto for the explanation.
Accepting a gift of $9,815 to the city from the 200 Club for the Honolulu Police Department to honor their outstanding officers during the 2023 National Police Week.
Thank you so much. I do note the presence of HPD brass, and I did note your presence all day, so thank you so much. Please proceed.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Vice Chair, and council members. I'm Major J. Peter from the Honolulu Police Department Community Affairs Division, and I'm asking you to accept a gift from the 200 Club to support the 200 Club breakfast and award ceremony on May 18th. And I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you so much. Members, any questions for the Major? Seeing none. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Clerk, does anybody from the public wish to testify?
Mr. Chair, we have one unregistered testifier.
Please proceed.
Aloha, Kayaka, Chair, Vice Chair, and the council members. I'm Angela Melody Young, testifying in strong support. I'm a safety coordinator and a co-captain from Kapalama Neighborhood Security Watch, and we like to support the police department in any way that we can. So thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you so much. Any further testifiers, Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you so much. Members, any discussion? Noting no discussion, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 35 and Resolution 23-5 has been adopted. Members, moving to the top of page 18 from the Committee on Public Infrastructure and Technology, Councilmember Tupola.
I move that CR 36 and Resolution 22-47 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Tupola for the explanation.
Requesting the city administration to provide an update to the council on the city's plans and efforts to assist Seagull Schools in relocating the Early Education Center.
Thank you so much. Is there somebody from the administration who can address this? Aloha, Director. Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon, Chair Waters, Vice Chair Kiaina, and council members. Haku Millis, Director for the Department of Design and Construction with the city. I wanted to clarify, so we discussed this in PIT committee, and I kind of gave a brief update about the construction and the schedule that we're on. I wanted to give further background. This project is essentially relocating the facility operations from the school that's sitting on top of the Civic Center parking structure over to the Mission Memorial building and the Municipal Reference Center building. So DDC has been tasked with, I guess, turning those two buildings into operation for the child care facility. Ideally, we're trying to meet the schedule of August, which is currently when the lease will end for Seagull Schools. And so we're working hard to meet that schedule. In terms of an update, happy to answer any questions you have, but I wanted to get some clarification if you wanted something more in writing, focusing on the process and dealing with the school or the construction schedule itself. But happy to provide any questions or answer any questions that you guys have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any questions for the Director? Councilmember Tupola.
Thank you so much, Director Millis, for being with us. I would say probably just a written update. That way, if we do ever get questions, we're not conveying information that was conveyed to us in an email, but there's actually something written so that there's no question with our relationship with Seagull Schools.
Thank you. Any further questions? Councilmember Say.
Yeah, Director, just a question in regards to the what I'm getting at. Once the preschool is completed, when will the operations, or not the operations, but the major replacement and renovations of the parking structure, are they doing concurrently at this point in time?
So thank you for the question. So the parking structure itself, we are essentially waiting until the facility is ready, then we can move the school over, and then we'll begin the process. It's a multi-phase process that's going to take years to complete. We anticipate that the school will need to operate out of the Mission Memorial and the Reference Center for at least 3 years. Disruption to parking within the structure itself, we anticipate to start probably around 2025. And so there's work on the podium level that needs to get done before we address the structural. So we're currently in design for that entire project. But like I said, disruption won't happen likely until 25. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions for the Director of DDC? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Clerk, are there any members of the public who wish to testify on this matter?
Mr. Chair, we have one unregistered testifier.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Aloha, Kayaka, Chair, Vice Chair, and the council members. Angela Melody Young testifying on behalf of CARES in strong support for the Seagull Schools. It looks like the vision and the mission for the Seagull Schools SECO will be recognized as the state's premier community-centered early education and childcare provider, and viewed as a respected resource and on effective and economical intergenerational practices and operations. The mission of SECO schools is to respond to early learning and childcare needs of Hawaii's diverse populations by providing quality programs of the highest value, which connects the generations in healthy environments. The philosophies and values at SECOs is that they have created rich, safe, and stimulating environments for growth, and it consists of developmentally appropriate learning materials, energetic, warm, and imaginative teachers and staff, and an appreciation for the unique qualities each of our students possess. Or each of the students they possess. Yeah, so thank you for the opportunity to testify. I think it's vital to support SECO schools because of their wonderful mission and vision.
Thank you very much, members. We're in discussion. Noting no discussion, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 36 and Resolution 22-47 has been adopted. Councilmember Tupola.
I move that CR 37 and Resolution 23-4 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Tupola for the explanation.
Accepting ownership of the Eva portion of Waimanu Street deemed to have been surrendered to the City and County of Honolulu by the State of Hawaii pursuant to amended administrative order issued by the State Director of Transportation in accordance with Act 208-2017, codified as Hawaii Revised Statutes 264-2.1.
Thank you very much. Mr. Clerk, is there anybody from the public wishing to testify on this matter?
Mr. Chair, we have no registered testifiers either in person or remote.
Thank you very much. Members, we're in discussion. Noting no discussion, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam?
Excused.
Councilmember Kia Aina?
Aye.
Councilmember Okimoto?
Aye.
Councilmember Say?
Mr. Chair, may I go with reservations? Thank you.
Councilmember Talba?
Aye.
Councilmember Tupola?
Aye.
Councilmember Wire?
Aye.
Chair Waters?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 8 ayes, 1 member is absent.
Thank you. CR 37 and Resolution 23-4 has been adopted. Now to the top of page 19, balance of committee reports. Vice Chair Kia Aina.
I move that the balance of committee reports be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Vice Chair Kia Aina for the explanation.
EMLA Committee Report, Request for Authorization to Settle a Case Against the City and County of Honolulu entitled Matthew Tabag Kalua et al. Versus City and County of Honolulu. EMLA Committee Report 23, Request for Authorization to Settle 10 Cases Against the City and County of Honolulu entitled Camila M. Aluli et al. Versus City and County of Honolulu. Calvary Lutheran Church versus City and County of Honolulu. Brad Coles et al. Versus City and County of Honolulu. David T. Cook versus City and County of Honolulu. Erna Isa Donley et al. Versus City and County of Honolulu. Lance S. Garrison et al. Versus City and County of Honolulu. Brian Kirsch versus City and County of Honolulu. Michelle Kunitake versus City and County of Honolulu. Clara K. Nakanishi et al. Versus City and County of Honolulu. The Charles A. Perkins Revocable Living Trust et al. Versus City and County of Honolulu. EMLA Committee Report 24, Request for Authorization to Settle a Case Against the City and County of Honolulu entitled Ronald J. Livingston et al. Versus Arthur J. Logan et al.
Thank you very much. Mr. Clerk, are there any members of the public wishing to testify on these 3 committee reports and lawsuits?
Mr. Chair, we have 1 registered remote testifier and 1 in person.
Okay, I believe we have the in-person and Ms. Regal. Aloha. Thank you very much for waiting patiently all day. Aloha and welcome.
Thank you. Okay. Dear Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee, I'm testifying in support of our neighbors receiving a settlement against the city. My name is Memo Rego, Ainahaina resident since 1974, and on the Ainahaina Community Association Board, and one of the 44 homes that were flooded 2018. I'm the person who has called the CC of Stream Maintenance, Parks and Recreation, DOT Army Corps of Engineer, Emergency Management, and Department of Facility Management, repeatedly requesting Wailupe Stream maintenance. And no problem when they came, but when they didn't, we flooded. I'm the person who's met with the city, state, and federal representatives to give a personalized tour of our Wailupe Stream and the Amazon forest that is now growing in it. The stream below West Hind Drive Bridge is so crowded today and every day with toxic castor bean plants, 18 to 20-foot halekoa trees, 10 to 12-foot California grass, and over the past few months, the terns and ducks no longer can see the water in the stream, so they land in our swimming pool, which they use as a swimming hole for them and the bathroom. In person, I'm the person who, with the 44 homeowners who got flooded, were present when the former mayor, former governor, and former councilman, state representative held their photo op 1 week after the flooding and promised no more floods, and they would do everything they could to protect the families and homes who were flooded. The city and state did work on the stream about a year and a year and a half after the flood. So they worked in the stream and the Boulder Basin, but very little below the West Hind Bridge, where the 44 houses, those were the houses that were actually flooded. Okay, ending on a happy note, we were told last week that they would come and work on our stream. So we'll see and hope it doesn't flood before then. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members, any questions for Ms. Rego? Seeing none, thank you. I do note that Anson Rego also signed up as a registered testifier. Mr. Clerk, is Anson Rego available? There he is. Hello, Mr. Rego.
Aloha. Mr. Chair, I support the settlement because our fellow Ainahaina residents should not be punished from losing money on their homes, and they should be getting their damages despite the years of negligence of the city and county of Honolulu failure to prevent flooding. The unfortunate part is that we're here today, I think my wife and I, because no action has been taken by the city since April 2018 to protect the Wailupe residents from continuous floods, especially Makai of Wailupe Drive Bridge. The capacity of the city-owned stream is insufficient. It has overflowed 4 times in the last 70 years, and I am a witness to it almost overflowing another half dozen times, coming about a foot from the top of the wall that is in the back of our house on the stream. Each time there's a major flooding, it happens before West Hind Drive Bridge, and Wailupe Stream is only a 10-year flood stream. The problem is that stream cleaning itself is insufficient and rarely done. Since the 2018 flood, there has been no assessment of that flood. There's been no determination of stream capacity. There's been no planning, no evaluation by the city for an implementation to create a flood prevention plan. Even though we've had numerous community meetings, community organizations, neighborhood board resolutions for action by the city to prevent future floods. I'm disappointed that the city did not make that part of this agreement to settle with our neighbors. What action can the city take? Section 205 of the Flood Control Act provides continuing authority for the Corps of Engineers to develop and construct small flood control projects. Also, the city can initiate a state federal authorized project to be built using flood walls and the channelization of Wailupe Stream to prevent, it's called flood control. It has not occurred, and therefore we expect another storm and another flood, which costs our community and many more than the 9 people here today fear, anxieties, and much more damages, which were, if it were not covered by flood insurance, they would all be here today, awaiting your action. We ask you to take action to keep this from flooding again. No more city settlements of lawsuits, which is occurring today. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Regal. No, I appreciate your testimony today. And in fact, at the last Executive Matters and Legal Affairs Committee hearing, we did discuss this with both the attorneys from Corporation Counsel as well as the director of the Department of Facility Maintenance, and expressed how important it is, not only in Wailupe, but all around the island, to keep our streams clean, because we're in the rainy season and we don't want what happened in Ainahaina to happen in again in Ainahaina or other communities. So we're here advocating for you. And in fact, our former budget chair put in 5 positions, new positions for stream cleaners within the Department of Facility Maintenance. So we hear you, and we'll continue to be the squeaky wheel with the administration in that regard. And I'm happy to support the settlement of these lawsuits. Members, pardon me, Mr. Clerk, is there anybody else who wishes to testify on this matter?
Mr. Chair, one unregistered testifier.
Please proceed.
Aloha, Kayaka Chair, Vice Chair, and the council members, Angela Melody Young, testifying to provide comments. So floods and natural phenomenons are an act of God, and it's just something that happens. For example, like in the Bible story of Noah and the ark, the event that he predicted happened. They didn't believe him, but his family did, and they got on the boat, and then they went to the promised land. That's okay. But about the legal parameters of this measure, so at the state, Senate Concurrent Resolution 159 CD1 from 2021 was a resolution they wrote to get reef insurance. So just something to consider, that there can also be flood insurance. So what the Senate concurrent resolution did was that it proposed DNLR to produce a report about mitigation of natural phenomenons, because the reefs were getting damaged by natural phenomenons. And then it can be done just by resolution, because from the Natural Conservancy, they just published the article that it did secure the first coral reef insurance for Hawaii, and it is providing rapid coral reef repair and restoration. So the same thing can probably be done for flood mitigation. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you so much. Is there anybody else from the public who'd like to testify on these matters? Seeing none, members, we're in discussion. Noting no discussion, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, the balance of the committee reports have been adopted. There being no unfinished business, turning to the top of page 20, new business. Vice Chair Kiaina.
I move that Resolution 23-8 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Vice Chair Kiaina for the explanation.
This resolution accepts a gift of $5,360 to the city from the Royal Hawaiian Band Music Society to assist with the purchase of a Wenger music library system.
Thank you so much. Mr. Clerk, is there anybody from the public who wishes to testify?
Mr. Chair, we have one person.
Please proceed.
Aloha, Akayaka Chair, Vice Chair, and the council members. I'm testifying in strong support for the Royal Hawaiian Band. So the Wenger music library system is looks like a cabinet, and it would be very good to provide that for the Royal Hawaiian Band, especially because it helps them to play music. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you so much. Mr. Clerk, anybody else from the public wishing to testify?
Mr. Chair, we have no one else standing by, either in person or remotely.
Thank you. I do note the presence of Band Director Bright. Thank you so much. Would you like to say a few words? What is the Renger Music Library System?
Aloha, Chair. Clark Bright, Bandmaster of the Royal Hawaiian Band. So the Wenger Music Library System is a more contemporary way to store all of our prized and treasured repertoire. Right now we have it in the old file cabinets. It would take, say, 10 cabinets and narrow it down to about 2. So we create more space. It's also safer, and we want to really take care of our repertoire.
Terrific, thank you. Members, any questions for the band director? Seeing none, thank you again.
Thank you, Chair.
Members, we're in discussion. Noting no discussion, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, Resolution 23-8 has been adopted. Vice Chair Kiaina.
I move that Resolution 23-13 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Vice Chair Kiaina for the explanation.
This resolution accepts a gift of travel and related expenses valued at $1,516.77 to the city from Trees for Honolulu's Future for a staff member of the Department of Parks and Recreation's Division of Urban Forestry to attend the Green Communities Leadership Institute in Knoxville, Tennessee, March 5th to 8, 2023.
Thank you so much. Mr. Clerk, is there anybody from the public wishing to testify on this matter?
Mr. Chair, we have no registered testifiers, either in person or remote.
Thank you so much. Members, we're in discussion. I do note that there is somebody from the Parks Department here for questions if we have any. Councilmember Cordero.
Thank you. This question is for Ms. Perry.
Yes. Hi, my name is Emily Perry. I'm the Division of Urban Forestry Community Forester, and I'm open to any questions relating to the
Thank
resolution.
you. Hi, Emily. Thank you for being here. And that looks great that you're being able to travel. I was wondering, what are some of your goals? What are the questions that you've heard throughout the budget cycle with your time here as a community forester? And to look forward to discussions when you do go up to Knoxville, Tennessee.
Yeah, of course. So the format of this Communities and Green Communities Leadership Institute has been online webinars with the culmination for the past couple months in March and meeting in Knoxville. And they're really focused on developing leadership skills as well as diversity, equity, inclusion, environmental justice, and then also utilizing data and technology to build into decision-making. So I think for this opportunity, being able to see different community leaders throughout not only the urban forestry realm, but also just the environmental field will be really beneficial in bringing that back and incorporating it into the community forestry program in Honolulu.
Thank you. And I know that both you and your colleagues at DPR presented on how you'll be using FRF funds for software improvements as well, and also organization. And is this organization the Green Communities Leadership Institute? Do they recommend these software programs?
So there are different representatives from organizations, both private, municipal, and so forth, who are going to be there. And I think this would be an opportunity to talk with them about which softwares they use and how it has been impacting their management and use of urban trees and such.
Thank you. And there was one discussion last year. I don't know if you remember. I think you were there. You were present. It was one. We were talking about trees and along Kapiolani, and then we had this question about exceptional trees that some developers are allowed to plant on their property, but also certain trees that are allowed to be replanted and whatnot. Of course, I think I mentioned how we even see on city properties that some of those trees that are accepted also break our infrastructure. And would you be willing to look at how to revamp and reconsider some, I don't want to say reconsider trees, that sounds terrible, but really look at how we can address how possibly we can consider other trees as opposed to what we have now that won't really break infrastructure?
Yeah, so for the exceptional tree specifically program, the Mayor's Arborist Advisory Committee is a collection of different community organization representatives, as well as myself and some other nominated folks. And we are looking into future development and improvement on trees that are accepted into that ET Exceptional Tree Program. And the topic of infrastructure conflict has come up. So I think definitely in the near future, that'll be something that will be addressed.
Oh, thank you. That's really good because I know that along with, we were just talking about streams. I think you were here for that. And a lot of the times the trees, whether they are on the sidewalk, sometimes the seeds will go wherever they go, right? And I was in Moanalua Valley and I saw that some of the trees actually, because of the wind and rains, it went into the canal, the actual concrete structure, and started to break into the new structure that DDC or DFM just put in. And so the residents were like, oh, well, kind of waste money then. So I just wanted to put that at top of your mind as well, and hopefully we can continue that discussion when you come back.
Thank you.
Safe travels. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any further questions for DPR? Seeing none, thank you very much. Members, we're in discussion. Noting no discussion, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, Resolution 23-13 has been adopted. Vice Chair Kia Aina.
I move that Resolution 23-24 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Vice Chair Kia Aina for the explanation.
This resolution relates to appointments to the Hawaii State Association of Counties.
Thank you. Is there a motion to amend?
I move that the resolution be amended to the hand-carried FD1.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Vice Chair Kia Aina for the explanation of the amendment.
The amendment amends the third whereas clause to attach a letter from the HSAC President Carvalho describing the approval slate of officers as Exhibit A to include reference to the appointment of a designated alternate to the HSAC Executive Committee and to correct the date of approval of the HSAC slate of officers from January 17, 2023 to February 13, 2023. It amends the fourth whereas clause to reflect the language of the most recent version of the HSAC bylaws. And lastly, makes miscellaneous technical and non-substantive amendments.
Thank you very much. Mr. Clerk, is there anybody from the public who wishes to testify on the amendment?
Mr. Chair, we have no registered in-person or remote testifiers.
Thank you very much. Members, we're in discussion on the motion to amend. Noting no discussion, any objections or reservations to the amendment? Noting no objections or reservations, the resolution has been amended to the hand-carried FD1. Members, any objections or reservations to waiving the Council Rule 19G, the 48-hour notice? Noting none, members, we're in discussion on the FD1. Noting no discussion, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, Resolution 23-24 FD1 has been adopted. Moving to the top of page 21. There are no items for the Committee on the Whole or executive session. Announcements. No announcements? Vice Chair Kia Aina for the motion to adjourn.
I move that the meeting stand adjourned until Wednesday, March 15, 2023 at 10 a.m.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any objections? Noting no objections, the council stands adjourned until Wednesday, March 15th, 2023 at 10 a.m. Thank you, members.